Okay, so let's think about digital security in a totally different way. I want you to imagine that your network isn't just a bunch of computers and servers. No, it's a fortress. It's your digital castle. You've probably spent a lot of time and a lot of money building these really strong walls and gates to keep the bad guys out. But I gotta ask, is that really enough?
I mean, you've definitely taken precautions, right? Those high stone walls we're talking about? Well, that's your firewall. And those heavy barred gates with all the complex locks, that's your strong passwords, your multi-factor authentication. You've done everything you were told you were supposed to do to protect your kingdom.
But even with all of that, with the drawbridge pulled up and all the gates locked tight, can you honestly say with 100% certainty that your castle is just impenetrable? Are you truly safe? And that little bit of doubt right there, that little voice in your head asking if it's really enough, that brings us to something we can call the security illusion. It's this belief that just having the tallest, thickest walls is going to protect you from every single threat out there. But, as we're about to see, those walls, they're just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. And look, these are the tools we all know and rely on. They're the very foundation of our digital fortress, right? We've got firewalls acting as our big barriers, encryption to scramble our secret messages, and authentication demanding that secret password to get in. Every single one of these is a form of prevention. And yet, here's the thing. Despite all of that, despite our very best efforts to build this totally unbreakable defense, attacks still get through. The walls still get breached. So why does this keep happening? Well, it really boils down to three unavoidable truths. First, you've got incredibly clever attackers who are always dreaming up new ways to get over, under, or straight through your walls. Second, you have to think about insider threats. What happens if somebody inside your castle decides to just open the gates for the enemy? And finally, you've got these things called zero-day attacks. These are brand new threats that nobody has ever seen before, which makes it literally impossible to have a defense ready for them.
This is where we need to completely flip the script. We have to shift our thinking from if our walls get breached to when our walls get breached. And once we accept that a breach is pretty much inevitable, well, what's the next logical step? You post watchmen on the walls. So it's time to meet your digital watchman and really understand the power of monitoring.
Now, this isn't just some vague idea. It's a real, formal discipline called network security monitoring, or NSM. And the key word here, the most important word, is continuous. This is not about checking the gates once a day and calling it good. No, this is about having eyes on everything all the time, ready to sound the alarm at a moment's notice. So what are these watchmen actually doing up there? Well, it's this constant, never-ending cycle. First, they are just observing all the activity inside the castle walls. Then, they analyze what they see, like, hey, is that guy supposed to be there? That leads them to detect suspicious behavior. Whoa, someone's trying to pick the lock on the treasury. And most importantly, they respond to stop the threat right then and there.
Look, if you take away just one single thing about NSM, let it be this. It's about watching the network all the time to catch attacks early. That's it. It's not necessarily about preventing the attack in the first place, it's about catching it so incredibly fast that any damage is kept to an absolute minimum.
All right, so we've got our walls, that's prevention, and we've got our watchmen, that's monitoring. Now, it might be tempting to see this as some kind of choice, walls versus watchmen. But the real key here is understanding they are not competing against each other. They're two sides of the very same coin. The simplest way to think about it is like this. Prevention, your walls, is all about trying to stop an attack from ever even starting. But monitoring, your watchman, is designed to detect an attack that's either happening right now or maybe one that has already snuck past your dates. See? One is a barrier, the other is the alarm bell. Let's really break it down side by side. Your walls are a static defense. You build them and hope they hold. They try to stop threats before they get in. Your watchmen, on the other hand, are a continuous process. They're always looking, detecting threats during or even after they get in. But here's the most important part. Just look at that last line. Prevention is never 100% effective. It just can't be. And that is precisely why monitoring is so absolutely essential. The watchmen are your critical backup layer for when, not if, the walls fail.
So how do we finally build that truly secure kingdom we've been talking about? Well, it's not about making a tough choice between walls or watchmen. It's about combining their strengths into one simple, powerful, ultimate formula.
This is it. This is the single most important idea to take away from all of this. Real security isn't just prevention. and it's not just monitoring, it is always prevention plus monitoring. You need your walls, and you need your watchmen. That is the only formula that gives you a truly resilient defense.
And the payoff for using this formula? It's huge. Because of the early detection you get from your watchman, you drastically reduce the potential damage from any attack that gets through. You minimize incredibly costly downtime for your business, and you protect yourself from the kind of major financial loss that can sink a company. Your watchmen are your ultimate safety net.
So listen, you spent the time, the effort, the money building your digital castle walls, and they're probably very strong. But I want you to ask yourself this: who's walking the ramparts? Who is actually looking for trouble? Your walls are built. The only question left is, who's on watch?